To build anything that truly lasts, it takes time.
Dr. Guruprasad, who is a former ISRO scientist, to help us better understand what the undocking process will really look like and what it would mean for the rest of the mission. Thank you so much for joining us on the show, Doctor. First of all, can you explain to us how significant is this undocking process and what should we expect in the next couple of hours?
Thank you very much and namaskar. Undocking process is a very important one because now we have to in the docked status. Okay, now SpaceX Crew Dragon, now it is firmly attached to the International Space Station. So both of them together, they are circling the Earth at an unimaginable speed of 28,000 kilometers per hour. That is 1,000 times this average speed with which we travel on our roads. We can't even imagine from our day-to-day life point of view. So now these four people, Shubhanshu, Shukla, Peggy Whitson, Slavoj Wisniewski of Poland, and Tibor Kapu of Hungary, all four of them, they have re-entered their Crew Dragon spacecraft. As of now, as I understand, now we can see the visuals, even they are seeing their 3 touchscreen monitors. Crew Dragon is a very sophisticated spacecraft. Unlike hundreds of switches, it has got only 3 displays. So the thing is, it has to now separate itself very carefully from the International Space Station. Very shortly, they are going to separate it, but separation process is not an easy one. First, they have to see everything is okay. They have to attire themselves in spacesuits. They have done already. And what they have to do is they have to check for any leaks and such things. They have already closed the door between the Crew Dragon and International Space Station. Okay. So that door is nothing but they call it as hatch. Hatch is closed. Now, after that, now what they're doing is they're carefully withdrawing, the electrical connections and fluid connections and other connections which are there between International Space Station and Crew Dragon. And finally, they are going to release the hooks which are securing Crew Dragon spacecraft to ISS. And finally, using small rocket engines on board Crew Dragon, they're going to separate it. So this is the undocking process. And after that, they safely go a bit away from the International Space Station beyond a safety zone. So this is what is undocking process it entails. Thank you.
And from a security perspective, what would you say are the most sensitive systems in the process of undocking?
No, this undocking process itself is, it is quite well rehearsed. See, the thing is, in space, there is no air. You cannot afford to have air leaks and such things. And you have to ensure that every part of the spacecraft, every system of it, whether they are thrusters, thrusters means small rocket engines, which are essential for safe return, as well as the electrical systems, the systems which ensure that you are in the proper orientation. All these things, one has to ensure that they are functioning properly and there is no air leak and such things. And you are very safe from the point of view of getting away from the International Space Station, independently circling the Earth in the next 22 hours or so. And then you have to initiate the process of, in layman's terms, I would say, diving back into the Earth's atmosphere by cutting down your speed using rocket engines. So this is what is important in the next step.
mission that has happened so far, we also have the splashdown that will happen tomorrow. So, out of this, is there security wise, is the worst behind us, or are there significant risks in post undocking during the return orbital and the splashdown?
Yeah, space is not for the faint-hearted. That is what people say. In fact, space flight inherently is challenging. I would not use the word dangerous and such things. Everything is associated with danger. But the kind of speeds, I told you, 28,000 kilometers per hour, the kind of temperatures, pressures, the kind of forces which are acting, the way in which you enhance your speed from moment to moment, all these things are unthinkable for us from day-to-day life point of view. So space flight is a challenging thing. Yes, there are associated dangers. Okay. But anyway, people are, they have a hold on the technology and they would have rehearsed very well. SpaceX is one of the safest space, entities which has been doing this kind of thing for a long time. Even Sunita Williams came back from space in a Crew Dragon spacecraft only. You may remember a few months back. So Shubhanshu Shukla is also coming back. Let me tell you very briefly, for the next 22 hours or so, Crew Dragon spacecraft with its 4 astronauts, including Shubhanshu Shukla, will be circling independently. Okay. And the other 7 astronauts are in the International Space Station and they remain to be there. So these people are also circling the Earth. They will also be circling the Earth. And these people tomorrow, maybe an hour or so before the splashdown, that is at 3 o'clock Indian Standard Time in the afternoon, they will initiate the process of decelerating or cutting down the speed of the spacecraft using rocket engines. Okay.
Right.
Then the spacecraft will enter the Earth's atmosphere at 28,000 kilometers per hour. As it descends very, very fast, okay, at very high speed, because of the friction with the air molecules in our atmosphere, its temperature increases again unimaginably, more than 2000 degrees centigrade or something like, or nearly that. Then what happens? Celsius. So then what happens? The spacecraft, when its temperature increases, because it is slowing down. So the atmosphere significantly slows down the spacecraft. And when it comes down to the lower reaches of the Earth's atmosphere, maybe about 15 kilometers or so, one set of parachutes known as drogue parachutes will open, 3 parachutes. Then main parachutes will open and slowly the spacecraft will come down and it is supposed to land at 24 kilometers per hour or something. Where is 28,000 kilometers per hour? Where is 24 kilometers per hour? So all these things, this is the sequence for tomorrow. So everything is associated with a challenge, but technology is so advanced and the procedure is well rehearsed and SpaceX is quite confident. I'm sure about it. All these things have happened, and look at the case of Sunita Williams. She went to space in what is known as CST-100 Starliner built by Boeing, and there were some issues with it. So NASA took a decision not to bring her back in that, but they sent a Crew Dragon spacecraft similar to the one what Shubhanshu Shukla is sitting now. You can see the visuals, those astronauts, what they are doing. You can see the gloves moving there also in the visuals. And that was this same spacecraft brought Sunita Williams and Butch Wilmore and 2 more astronauts. Okay. So I think it's quite normal thing, and I'm sure that it will be planned well, and they're going to execute it. And Shubhanshu Shukla will come back safely after his 14 days sojourn in
Right.
space, and I'm sure that India will be immensely benefited by this,
Yeah.
because unless you participate in this kind of endeavors, you are not going to get this kind of information. And this is very essential for Gaganyaan. Not that we don't have the ability, we are already planning ISRO, for which I worked for 38 years, and I'm very proud and I'm privileged to have worked for ISRO. Now
Right.
I'm not with ISRO, but the thing is, so ISRO plans everything systematically. So the thing is, we too have capability in India. We have Atmanirbharata, but at the same time, these kind of flights, they go a long way in further enriching our Gaganyaan program, I would say.
Right. I want you to spend a minute, Dr. Guruprasad, talking about the mission and everything that has taken place over the last 2.5 weeks. There have been a bunch of experiments, around 60, that this crew has performed at the ISS. What is the significance for this of these experiments that have been done? And like you were talking about, what this does in terms of changing the public perception about India's space mission. So about both of these things, if you could speak for a bit.
Yeah, to capital, let me say very quickly, that succinctly I can say, the thing is, the fact that India has designed these experiments, India designed these experiments and carefully in containers it sent it, and these experiments have been performed by Shubhanshu Shukla. Of course, results are awaited. It shows the capability of India. In 1984, Rakesh Sharma, when he went to space, our space program was still in its childhood. No, it was not infancy. It was in childhood. Okay, in the phase of childhood. Okay, but now India is a very confirmed space power and a prominent spacefaring nation. Look at the capability we have. We have designed 7 experiments, sent them, and Shubhanshu Shukla has performed them on behalf of the researchers. He is a link between the researchers and space as such. And these experiments were biomedical experiments, and about maintaining health in space, growing food in space. That is why even at one time it was said that Shubhanshu Shukla has become a farmer, because methi seeds they sprouted in space, which he had carried from. This is an experiment designed by researchers at Dharwad in Karnataka. Similarly, the thing is, this kind of experiments, sprouted seeds will be brought back. What is the effect of spaceflight on their genetic aspects? Okay, these things will be studied over generations. Second thing is, microalgae was grown. Okay, the thing is, that was also an experiment done by Shubhanshu Shukla. Okay, they can become a food source in the future, a fuel source in the future, as well as the source for oxygen. Okay, because when you undertake long-term space flight like going to Mars, you cannot carry everything from the Earth. It is too expensive and it has got its associated problems. If you have a closed ecosystem kind of thing, it would be good. That all these experiments are strategized towards that. This is the second thing. Third aspect was something to do with cognitive science. In fact, how space affects the weightless environment of space, affects your cognitive abilities, in fact, your eye movement, your brain, and how you perceive things in space, how you react to it. All these things will help you in designing future spacecraft. And fifth thing is tardigrades, that one of the most resilient microorganisms. They were taken as to how they survive in space, how they reproduce. All these things will be studied, and these things go a long way in making spaceflight, long-term spaceflight especially, more safer. And in addition to 7 experiments, Shubhanshu Shukla, 7 Indian experiments, Shubhanshu Shukla also was part of other experiments which totaled about 60, and about nearly 540 pounds of the experiments, samples and such things are being brought back. And I'm sure that, this was one of the private astronaut missions, which was full of experiments. So I'm sure that it is going to benefit the humanity in one way or the other. Not only one way or the other, in many ways it will benefit humanity in general and India in particular. This will provide very, very rich inputs to the Gaganyaan program of ours. I'm sure about it.
Prasad, as a former ISRO scientist, now this was a private space mission. Do you think India is ready to launch something similar on its own in the near future?
That is what is the objective of Gaganyaan. Gaganyaan is the first step in the Indian human spaceflight program. Till 2018, formally, we did not have a human spaceflight program. On August 15th of 2018, Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji, he actually challenged the country to send a son or a daughter to space, okay, to Earth orbit from the Indian soil using an Indian rocket, on which they will all be sitting in an Indian designed spacecraft and built spacecraft. So Gaganyaan's objective is precisely that. And there are multifarious activities which are very, very well thought out, making a rocket which is very, very reliable and safe for humans to be.
Dr. Guruprasad, my question to you remains the same. How far are we from making that a reality?
I think I'm not competent enough to precisely say that. Okay, what has come from the open sources? I would say that with my own past experience, I'm an optimist in this regard. Media has reported that in about 2 years or something like that. Roughly. Let me tell you, one has to be extremely cautious in this. But let me tell you one thing more than the question should be whenever we undertake a space journey with humans, we have to be extremely careful about the safety aspects. I'm sure the prime concern for ISRO is that. Okay, earlier also his statements from ISRO came that it is the top priority is the safety. So there is no point in just uh, making any entity associated with it to go as quickly as possible. Not like that, but it has to be systematic. It has to be extremely safe. I'm sure that as I was telling you earlier, look at the track record of ISRO. When Rakesh Sharma went, we were in as far as our space program is concerned, we were in childhood, I said. After all, we had built only experimental satellites like Aryabhatas, Bhaskaras, and Apples. They were very small. They were not capable of offering services to the country for more than a decade at a time. But look at that, I understand that more than 50 satellites are serving the country. They are part of our economic infrastructure. So the thing is, we have come a long way from that stage. India is a very prominent spacefaring nation with its past experience and with its past record. There is always optimism on the part of optimism can be there for us about fructifying Gaganyaan as early as possible, taking safety aspect into account. That's what it is. Not only I am telling, even Shubhanshu Shukla also yesterday told it is quite some time, as well as challenges are extreme. He said very modestly yesterday. If you look at his statement in Hindi, that's what he said, and that is the mantra of ISRO. I'm sure about it. Safety at first. So as I see the Crew Dragon spacecraft alone, I am seeing the visuals. Okay, in the visual, I see Crew Dragon spacecraft. At least from my perspective or the perspective of the camera, it is upside down. It looks to me, and the Shubhanshu Shukla and others are sitting in the lower part, and in the upper part you see the fins that is called as the trunk. So the thing is, I think they have already undocked from that, and they are going to exit, and they are going to enter a safety zone beyond the space station vicinity, and they are going to exit that, and after that they initiate the rocket firing to further refine their orbit. Okay, that is what is happening. And let me say that, I was telling there are three aspects to it. One is the development of a rocket. Okay, development of a rocket. We have GSLV Mark 3, which is the or LVM3, which is the most powerful rocket in the Indian inventory. And that's reliability is being significantly enhanced to take the Gaganyaan astronauts. Then second thing is Gaganyaan spacecraft is there. It is being designed and built. That is the second aspect. Third thing is 4 astronaut candidates have been selected. They have been well trained, and the additional training which was provided to Shubhanshu Shukla goes a long way in further, as I repeat, further enriching our Gaganyaan space program. We have 4 astronauts already. Besides Shubhanshu Shukla, you have Prashant Balkrishnan Nair, Ajit Krishnan, and Angad Pratap, all Air Force test pilots. On several fronts, the Gaganyaan program is also progressing well. Now, the immediate thing is now in the next 22 hours, Shubhanshu Shukla will come back safely, and let us listen from him as to what are his experiences. This goes a long way in enabling our Gaganyaan and to a certain extent even accelerating it. Thank you.
Guruprasad, as we can see these live visuals coming in, which shows the Crew Dragon spacecraft separated from the International Space Station, and what we know is that it is expected to splash down near the coast of California. That is tomorrow, and I want you to spend some time here talking about what happens post the splashdown. I understand there is a rehabilitation program that the crew will go through. So can you tell us what that process will look like for all the ones aboard this spacecraft right now?
Okay, that's a good question. The thing is, once the Crew Dragon splashes down on the Pacific Ocean off the coast of California, as it has been scheduled now, okay, then it will be hoisted onto a ship and carefully, even before that, they are going to inspect any harmful fumes, fuel leak kind of thing, because it has rocket engines, many small rocket engines called thrusters. Okay, so they will check that. Then slowly they approach, they hoist it to the ship, and they open the hatch. That is, there are two doors for that. The other door side, which is on one side of the spacecraft, they are going to open, and all these four people are going to come out. We have to remember one thing: these four people, Peggy Whitson, Shubhanshu Shukla. Peggy Whitson is the commander. Shubhanshu Shukla, let me remind you, he's the pilot of this mission. And Slavoj Wisniewski, and Tibor Kapu, these two are only the researchers. They are not flyers. Okay, all these four will come out, and they were in space only for 18 days or so. If it is a long duration space flight, more care would be exercised. Okay, and anyway, as soon as they come back, anyway, their health will be thoroughly checked up. There are different parameters pertaining to their nervous system or even cardiovascular system. Whatever quickly they can do to ascertain the good health of the astronauts, they will be taken up. And I'm sure that through a helicopter, they are going to take to the shore, and they will be taken for medical debriefing, and they're going to be whatever we call as rehabilitation, okay, to enable them to readjust to the terrestrial environment. For about 18 days, they were in space where there is no weight, and the thing is, it is weightless. And the food habits and such things, though they could able to eat good food. You remember, in fact, Peggy Whitson said, they had shrimp cocktail for their parting dinner. True to Indian tradition, Shubhanshu Shukla took gajar halwa as well as amras. So the thing is, but anyway, life was a different thing in space compared to the terrestrial
Yeah.
environment. So now they're going to readjust to that,
Yes.
and the doctors will
Yeah,
enable that.
Dr. Guruprasad, thank you so much for joining us on the show. But unfortunately, that's all the time that we have today. But thank you so much for coming in and sharing your expert insights into this mission. With that, we've reached the end of this edition of News Now. Thank you so much for watching to all the viewers.